Look at that.
In the last episode, we crossed the Arctic Circle.
Look, we're here.
And properly entered the realm of the midnight sun.
For my first swim above the Arctic Circle.
Join us in this episode when we reach the island of Rødøya, climb the magnificent Rødøylova with one of the best views on Helgeland's coast, before we have to rush into Bodø to hide from some bad weather, visit Saltstraumen and end up in a beautiful anchorage.
I think this is the local ambulance. It's more like a floating hospital, that actually.
And so, we make our first landfall in the Arctic, in the small natural harbour of Klokkergarden on the island of Rødøya, about 50 nautical miles south of Bodø. The small island of Rødøya, the Red Island, is about 5 nautical miles offshore, with about 200 people living here. The island boasts some of the best white beaches, but its real highlight is the 440 meters high Rødøylova, the Lion of Rødøya. The ascent along the hundreds of Sherpa steps is tough but safe.
And how are you doing?
Still surviving.
At the top of the cliff, which drops vertically over 400 meters down into the ocean, we enjoy the wonderful views of the island garden around us with crystal clear water and white sandy beaches. And in the far distance, across the Vestfjorden, we can just about recognize the rocky wall of the Lofoten. There is a famous social media hotspot on the top of Rødøylova, where one can pose on a tiny natural rock platform. I, for my liking, am chuffed about reaching the summit area. Catherine, who is normally not faint-hearted in this respect, has in her mind a picture of her on this daunting rock. But look, there is nothing but thin air in front, to the side, above and below you. And even Catherine didn't dare to crawl there. Frankly, it escapes us why and how people are driven to this. The age gap, perhaps? We rarely go out, but after this exciting hike and to celebrate reaching the Arctic, Catherine and I enjoy a delicious meal at Klokkergarden restaurant, which is located in Rødøya's old school building and presents itself more than a museum than a restaurant. Sadly, our stop on this beautiful island is for one night only, as we want to be in Bodø for the bad weather that is forecast for the next few days. Good morning. Sunday morning, 8:30, and it's raining outside, so we see the Norwegian weather once from a different side. It's been expected today that it's gonna rain. It's gonna be light winds. I hope there is some wind, and we have 52 nautical miles to do from Klokkergarden, where we are here, to Bodø. I show you that. So we are here in this little snug harbor. We're going out, and then basically it's all the way through the islands in a northeasterly direction towards Buda. And that's the goal for today. Tomorrow there is a blow coming, gale, and it will probably take 2 or 3 days for it to pass over, so we prefer to be in Buda. I can also do the oil change on the engine, which is now overdue, and there is something on the generator that needs to be fixed. I need some parts, and so that's a welcome stop we can do in Buda. So the race is on. There is a Swedish yacht just slightly ahead of us. They left a couple of minutes, or actually at the same time, and it looks as if they go to Buda as well. So gonna have a fun day, despite the fact that the visibility is really bad, and yeah, it's raining, but so far it's fun.
What kind of sail do we have out?
We have the mainsail in the first reef, and we have the Genoa fully out. The mainsail first reef, that's because we're expecting gusts up to 20 or slightly over 20 knots, so that's basically how you reef for the gusts, and that's what we're doing at the moment. Visibility continues to be pretty bad. Ahead of us we have a cargo ship coming over there, about there. I don't know whether one can see that in the camera. That's not on our way. We have the other sailing boat over there that just left with us this morning, and then straight ahead we can't see, we have another one that was also in the same place. We're probably all going to Buda today. As a safety measure in this restricted visibility, I have resorted to take the iPad up, my little iPad, and put that one on radar. So I have 2 displays. I have one with radar overlay, and then over here the normal display, so we can clearly see here on the normal display, that's us, this is the Swedish boat, that's the cargo ship that comes towards us, and this is the other yacht, Mumbai, that is going direction of Buda. Our first reef line, which is a single reef line, is chafing at the luff, and I don't know how long actually it will keep, so I had to secure it, take some pressure off, and also make a safety line to retrieve it out of the mast in case it breaks and goes into the mast. So I hope that will work, and we can have a look at this when we're in Buda. The wind is now definitely too weak with 11 knots, and it's coming from dead behind, so there would be no sailing for us. We're not running that well downwind because our Genoa, the big one, is actually too small to be a good downwind sail. Different to some older models which have a large overlapping Genoa that can make a reasonable speed. Ours is not overlapping, or just 5% overlapping, and that just doesn't make her a very good downwind sailor. So we have the motor in this wind. Weather is sometimes slightly better, sometimes there's rain showers. Visibility is okay, and then sometimes it drops, but we're making good progress. It's another 26 nautical miles and we will be in Buda. We have just heard on the radio the gale warning for tonight and tomorrow. So later tonight there should be some wind, force 7 or so to 8. We should have that in Buda during the night, but nothing goes wrong, we will be in by that time and safely tucked in. There's quite a big swell rolling in from the open Atlantic here, and with this wind, like a southerly southwesterly that we have at the moment, this area here is completely open. There's quite a few shallows. You see islands down there and over there, and actually just over here as well. So the seafloor is quite uneven here.
That makes for some more waves, and I could imagine that with some higher winds, this corner is probably not very nice to be in a southwesterly gale. This is one of the many fish transporting vessels. They load their fish at the fish farms and then they bring them to probably a processing site somewhere. There's one here, and then just behind there's another one following. Quite some activity going on here. About 18 miles in this direction is Buda. Back there it seems to rain, and it might catch us up just in the wind. Polaris is pushed around by the waves, and just behind that land there is Bodø. It's about 4 miles away, 4 nautical miles away, and so that's maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that, and we'll be there. We're here in Bodø at the bus station in the center near the harbor, and we're going to take you on a trip. Join us. So that's us at Saltstraumen, one of the sites here in the area, and we're going to show you what it is. We took the bus from Bodø to here. It's about 40 minutes. We're quite out in the countryside. So we're approaching Saltstraumen. We're just under the bridge. There's a 40 meters high car bridge that goes over this strait here. And this is a very special place, as you will see. Let's go to the water. So here we are at Saltstraumen, and this is not a river. This is actually the sea. It's the world's strongest tidal current. And what it does, so through this gap, which is about 150 meters wide, there is all the water that fills the fjord behind, which is about a 40-kilometer long fjord. All the water that comes in here presses through that gap here. And imagine the tidal range is about 2 meters still in here. So it's a fjord behind of 40 kilometers in length that fills by 2 meters and then empties by 2 meters of water. That's an astonishing 400 million cubic meters of water that are flowing through here every 6 hours. In and then out, and then in and then out again. At this point, it is claimed that the speed of the water can be up to 40 kilometers an hour when it comes in a real high spring tide. We are near to a spring tide, but a no moon spring tide, so it's the lower of the both of them, but still it's quite spectacular. And apparently when the tide turns, it stops, it stands for a couple of minutes, and then it's full speed on the other way around. That must be quite spectacular to see. The whirlpools and the turbulences that are created by this strong current here are perfect for fishing, because obviously there's a lot of food that is being swept into the fjord here. You can see fishermen all over the place. So it's a paradise for fishing. There's a lot of birds that are fishing. There's fish all the way around, so this guy just caught one, and we see them jumping down in the water. Our boat down there is now running at full speed. It's not got a very strong engine behind, but he won't make it out. Looks like he's caught in there. He has to wait until the current either gets slower or turns. So we're here at one of my favorite places, on the top of a bridge, of a high bridge, and I hate it. But from this vantage point, you can see nicely now how the current has come down. And I think not too long and it will change direction. I stay here as far away as I can. Well, so this is 1.5 hours later and the current has calmed down. It's almost as tame as a pussycat now. And I think probably in an hour or two, maybe earlier, I don't know, it will turn around and it will be as fierce in a couple of hours in the other way as we've seen it before. I think this is quite amazing. You can feel the snow is a bit closer. We see the snow-covered mountains in the back and it's a bit more chilly. As soon as the sun is away, if there's a cloud in front of it or so, it gets a bit crisp. But when the sun's out, it's nice.
After almost 10 days of basically waiting for some parts, for some Sikaflex stuff, we are now ready to go. We will go to a small anchorage, that's the plan, about 18 nautical miles from here to the north. It's beautiful weather, a slight breeze, unfortunately not from the right direction. We have it on the nose, but we'll see what that gives. And yeah, happy to go now. Today's plan is to sail from Buda here up to a small island called Heyoya, I think, something like that. We're trying to sail, although we have the wind directly from the front, so it's going to be a lot of tacking. And we're going to try the anchorage in here. It's in between some islands in here. We're going to try that out. If that doesn't work, there's a harbour nearby where we can go in. Our speed over ground is about 4.5 knots, 4.5 to 5, and it's 18 nautical miles, so that's about 4 hours.
Very nice. That's our new sunshade. We give it a try because sometimes the chaplet was really hot and it works, but it doesn't stick very well to the window.
How is the pullover getting on, Catherine?
Great, I'm happy. That will be my quiet jumper, but I think it's great. Happy.
We are approaching our final destination, which is just down here, a little bay. There is another sailing boat in already, so I hope there will be enough space for us. We'll see, otherwise plan B is over there. There's a harbour. We will go in that little harbour there. If you like this video and want to know how our story continues, subscribe to our channel and watch our next episode when we continue our voyage north to another stunning anchorage and when we arrive on Lofoten. For now, we have arrived at our destination for the day. Surrounded by a bird protection area, we enjoy a calm evening under the watchful eye of a white-tailed sea.